Jonathan. So we're just going to wait for some people to get in, and then, as you can see, my rack is half built. Jonathan. So Valve Exotics, he's the guy that pretty much bought the stone washes over here in the UK. He moved them over to Michael Edge, and Michael Edge moved them over to me. So Valve Exotics, he doesn't work with Leopard geckos anymore. Maybe he will in the future, but it's more Cresties, Euros. I'm pretty sure he's got other stuff. But yeah, we'll get some people in, and then we'll get Ryan over at Recto Reptiles. You know the stuff. Get the people flying first. Again, my rack's half built. This is my holdback and baby gecko rack. Yeah, Dan, this was planned. This has been planned for about a week, mate. You've been camping this whole time. Jazzy. What's happening, Chloe? So we're going to get Ryan in. Ryan's got a great knowledge of reptiles, leopard geckos. Yeah, I've been talking to him for the last couple of months. He's a really good guy. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to getting him on. Cheers, Jay. What's happening, Dave? DC Geckos, the home of the coppers. So Dave, DC Geckos, is the guy that created the copper morph. So it's a pleasure having Dave in. I know we're not going to get too many views right now on this, but you know, it goes onto YouTube, so views don't matter to me. You know, you never know. You might get one person that watched your live and took a load of information and they walked away knowing something new, which is what matters to me. SP Gecko's got some stunning bells. You know, I'm always shouting people out. We're all a team. We're all a team at the end of the day. I did have a cup of tea, but I finished it. Me and Ryan had a little conversation before we started the live, and I drank all the tea then, so I'm on squash. We'll give it another 5 minutes or so, and then we'll get started. Team G. G for geckos, G for George. What do you guys think of the new stickers? Exactly, Dave. Exactly. That is a bonus. Even though it ain't Chelsea playing tomorrow. Yeah, 100. I get you. What does everyone think of Ronaldo joining United? I mean, I'm a Chelsea fan, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm buzzing to see him playing in the. Yeah, do you know what, Chloe? I ain't got one. Here we go. We're starting to get some people in. Viddy's Pets, Ollie Cook. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. ABC, who are they losing to? Who are you talking about? So, before we get started, I want to give the sponsors of our live a shout out. I want to give Eco Geckos a shout out. Most of you know Eco Geckos. He's like my best mate in the hobby. There's been so many situations where I've almost quit, and I've almost left the hobby, and Jay's like, no, you stay. But anyway, Eco Geckos has got some live food. It's today, Chelsea. I thought it was tomorrow. Cheers for that. So Jay at Eco Geckos, he's got a live food website coming out. Accessories, caves, tongs, you name it, food bowls. So much stuff, decor, fake leaves. He's got over 1,000 products on his website. So keep an eye out for that. Also, big shout out to Hannah at TheGeckoCabin. She makes amazing artwork. This is all handmade and painted. This is Smiley, our giant. She painted for us. She's doing a great work. Chloe and other people, Dave, got some work done from her. Also, want to shout out the Gecko Podcast. Ryan, who's coming on, he's the owner, creator, whatever you want to call it, of Gecko Podcast. Great podcast. Everything Leopard Geckos. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Strength and Leo's, huge fan of Ryan's podcast. The difference between Strength in Leo's and Ryan's podcast is with the Gecko Talk podcast, sorry, I find it easier to listen to because of sometimes with Strength in Leo's, and I hope anyone who's views this, I'm not. This isn't a dig. I think you guys are doing a great job, but with sometimes it's too much information at once, and because I am dyslexic, things take a lot longer to go in. So with Ryan's, it's a lot more slow pace, a bit more mellow, and yeah. So should we get Ryan in, everybody? Let's get Ryan in. Great breeder. I'm looking forward to this live. We're hoping it's to last about an hour because they've been going on for 2.5 hours and I'm shattered, I'm knackered. I thought after finishing my reptile career I was going to have my time back, but I ain't. But let's sling Ryan on. We've got some questions down here for him. If you've got any questions for Ryan or myself, put them in the comments below. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's invite Ryan and let's go. So reptiles. Next time Ryan has showed his face, so just saying, special treatment.
Hello.
Hello Ryan, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. This is the first time everyone gets to see you. Like, this is like exclusive.
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous. I haven't shown my face, and then I shaved, so like I have a baby face right now. Yeah, I'm used to having a beard, so I'm like always scratching right here. Oh, hello, Malte.
You sent me a photo like I think it was a week ago, and then I've obviously when I last saw you had a beard, and now it's like,
oh yeah,
he took 10 years off of him.
Yep.
So Malte,
sorry if there's any noise too. That super giant male that I was talking to you about, he's now deciding to bite the tub. So that's what, you can hear him.
So. He's we'll leave him.
Yeah.
Do you find though, while we're talking about bitey geckos, I had this conversation with Kobe's geckos. Do you find things like blizzards, DBs, they're just, I don't know why, I just find them to be aggressive.
I find that blizzards are fairly timid compared to Diablo Blancos, but Diablo Blancos, I think that's just the genetic combination. They're just more aggressive for sure. Really just they're grumpy, and then you have the like the white knights that don't act like that at all.
Absolutely.
I think it could also just be handling situations though too, because I believe that some things that are like specifically line bred aren't going to be really handled as far as pet. So, and that's my blind cat that just ran into the door. So, yeah.
That is great.
But, yeah.
You must hear that in the middle of the night, just dunk. Oh, it ain't a ghost. It's just.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Anyway,
yeah.
Talk about yourself, Ryan. Like, what got you into the hobby? What made you start? Some people ask, how old are you? I know some questions are a bit, it doesn't really matter how old you are. You could be 6 with great geckos, it don't matter. So yeah, talk a little bit about yourself, what got you into this, and yeah.
Well, as far as age, I'm fairly young compared to a lot of people out there, but as far as time-wise, this is the 6th year. But as far as what got me into it, it's just like the genetics and stuff I really like. Yeah. So, just the potential with everything gets me really excited. But when I like a big influence for me is like Jeff from JMG. Just he was so young when he first came into the hobby, and I'm like, that's fairly rare and just not very spoken about with young people coming in and making themselves established. So that's something that I definitely thrived and wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
And following his footsteps almost.
What I've noticed of you as well, Mo, Elite Gecko, you're the new Instagram reporter. What I've noticed of you is you not only focus in the genetic sides of things, I suppose this is tied into it, you also like the development, raising, little simple things like that, even with, we're going to talk about it later, even with that normal you got. It's special in itself, and little things like that is just you're taking it above and beyond.
Yeah, I'm very picky about stuff that I like. So as far as like looking for potential, I'm always constantly looking for something that's going to do better, and something that I know that's going to to make something cool, not only genetically, but also something that's not going to have issues. That's the first thing that I like cross off the list to make sure like it's not going to have anything bad in it. And just just making a cool animal because everyone wants something that's unique looking.
Yeah.
But also making it affordable. So that's one of the things that I really want to strive for. Yeah.
And always work with what you love, because of if you don't work with something you don't love, it does show. Even if you loved Max Snow Trempers, focus on producing the best Max Snow Trempers you can possibly work with. You see too many people with, if you see it, this isn't going to everybody. Like Dave at DC Geckos, his collection is vast. He's got so many morphs and combinations, but you can see the love and care in everything. But it isn't always necessarily the case. Sometimes you see people with literally everything. It's like, what are you doing? What's the desire? What's the achievement? It just looks like you just produce as much as you can.
And that's a main thing that I don't ever want to be. Like, yes, I want to grow. Of course, you want like big numbers. Of course, you want stuff that's going to be awesome and you to be known for having good things. But you also have to look at it as far as the value of the animal, almost not money-wise, but the animal's life expectancy and just how the care and such. That's the main thing. Like that, every time I go back to thinking that I want an animal, you have to think of just the general care and that this is a living thing, and not a lot of people get that to click when they're dealing with large animals. To that's an object to them at that moment. Yeah. So I like to keep it real, and I like to think of it as a pet. That's the mentality that I try to keep it at. Even if I'm going to sell an animal, I still keep it at that mentality that it's still mine at that moment. To give it that care and knowing that like I'm doing the best with that animal, making sure that it's up to best quality and health, just general. So
just because it's a gecko doesn't mean it has to lack. Like, for example, sometimes with a gecko, if a gecko ain't doing very well, a lot of people just throw it away. That is literally the best way to put it. If it was a dog, you take it to the vet.
You don't do that.
Exactly. But just because it's a little gecko, and to be honest, a lot of them are cheap. So it's like, oh, I bought this normal. It's £50, let's say $60 or $30. And the markets are a bit different either side. But because it was that cheap, I can dispose of it and get another one. It's not a problem. Which to me, I hate. I hate that. It's that's,
I'm the exact same way.
That is an animal. Do you know what I mean? So yes. So we've got another question here. What other species do you work with / really want to work with? So it could be leopard geckos. Is there a certain morph you really want to work with? And also, I know we spoke. Is there other reptiles you really want to work with?
Yeah. I also have a pixie frog. So the giant African bullfrog. The big blobs. I have one of those. I really like amphibians too, but I also don't want to really jump into everything with them. Like, just keeping them as pets is fine, not breeding. But as far as Eublepharis, Angermonu is my absolute favorite, and I'm planning to get some soon. So just getting mainly all of the Eublepharis genus now is what I want to stick to.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you see my posts and stuff, but I am a sucker for vipers.
Yeah.
I love venomous snakes so much. It's just like the addition where you just like. Oh yeah, I like stuff that has personality. Stuff that looks mean and striking. It's just like I want that when I see a snake that can kill you. It's just like I want to buy that type thing. But they're just so cool. Yeah.
Online and show some real hot stuff.
Oh yeah.
Cheers, Mo. But
I've been trying to get him on for a while.
You mentioned with the, I'm honestly, I'm awful with Latin names. I'm just dead awful. But the ones you're talking about, I think there's a bit of an issue with them being wild caught, isn't there, at the moment? You're seeing a hell of a lot of them that have been imported as wild caught.
So, just majority of all Eublepharis, not Macularis, of course, because that's been in the hobby for so long. All the other quote-unquote wild stuff like Angermonu, Fuscus, Hardwicki, Sapprenisis, which is one of the more recent ones discovered. I'm sorry, getting people messaging me for stuff. um, but like those are fairly newer to being domesticated and such. So it's they have crypto out in the wild also. So that's a thing that you also have to consider when you're bringing in wild caught animals.
Yeah.
So the main issue with that is that they're going to be sick when you first bring them in. So
Yeah.
making sure that you're getting ones that don't have crypto, which are people curing it from crypto, because it is curable, um, is what you want to look for, especially for Angremonu, because they do have they're known for metabolic bone disease because how long their arms are, and their bones just get caught in their joints all the time and stuff. So making sure that all your genus of Eublepharis is doesn't have any issues is a big thing because you can see stuff on the market too that you're kind of curious about, like, does that have this or something like that? So you have to be, just in general, I'm careful about everything of what I buy. So, and
Yeah.
I'm picky. I'm probably the most annoying customer,
Yeah, you're
but
going to say you're probably the most annoying customer, but that's the best thing. When I see stuff like that and people asking questions, what's the parents? And it's not so much with
Mhm.
Leos with parents, even with crested geckos, a lot of it comes down to lineage and things like that. But back to what we were just saying, I don't know whether you've noticed, I know you're not really a Facebook guy, but and I know a
Mhm.
lot of other people, when I get a message, the same message gets sent to so many other people, but there's so many people from India that are catching these
Mhm.
wild caught and shipping them over. But the thing is, people are buying them. But when you look at the
Mhm.
photo of it, you're like, man, that thing looks like it's dying.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across anything like that personally? You must
Um,
have.
I haven't. I've been actually looking for some stuff to import. As far as like sap apprentices, because I'm really interested in just getting those into the market. Germany, I already know that I already have them, and then Japan, I guess, has been working with them for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
Which I had no idea until I talked to one of my friends in Japan. Um, but uh, I would be very cautious, even just you can't really trust people that are going out and smuggling too.
Mm.
That's the thing that you don't know if it's like they're saying that if it's male, you're probably gonna get a female or something, or like they're saying this is a Saprenicis. Watch, you're gonna get like an Agramani, the exact opposite.
Yeah. It's just a
Um,
big flip for them.
so yeah, it's I think it's really dangerous to do, and it's a big risk. But that's why I'm looking for the other eublepharis though, because there's different options where you can take to keep your animals healthy rather than just capturing wild caught stuff.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an idea some odd years ago until I started to look into the actual market for the others. Um, but yeah, I stay away from it now, just because I don't want crypto.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bubba just said, what do you think about outcrossing to wild types to increase longevity of lions? Me personally, I say yeah, because of
Hmm.
pretty much everything has to be crossed at some point. It's like with Dave with his coppers. You have to cross something and add that better blood or line or whatever to increase that line, keep that line going, because eventually, if you've been, let's say, line breeding for 5, 6 years, you are going to run into issues, infertility, other stuff. So 100%. It's like there was a conversation we were talking about. There was a conversation in the WhatsApp group about percentages. Now you see like Black Knight 75% and stuff like that, and it is a cross. But like they turned around and said, at some point, everything has to be crossed. It has to be crossed eventually. So the best thing to think in your head is most stuff has been crossed. What's your view into that, Ryan?
Um, that's another thing to get into that pure question too.
We'll hit the
Um,
pure question with
yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah. So I hate the word pure also, as far as macularis, and just morph wise. Everything's crossed. So if it's everything at one point was crossed to something else to make that animal. So I don't ever view anything as a pure animal unless it's a wild type basis, like Turkmenicus, stuff like that. Um, I do think it is beneficial, definitely, to add wild type into your lines. I've been looking into like Montanus and stuff because there's uh there's some idea that Turkmenicus and Fasciolatus might be actually the same thing. And it's separate from macularis. It's its own thing. Um, but it's able to, cross into macularis.
Yeah.
But as far as crossing them, I don't see a problem with that because I think that definitely helps not only genetically, because if you look at it like biologically, our animals are pretty, what's the word? I guess secluded as far as being bred and such. They're very targeted to what they breed to, rather than in the wild, they'll just breed to anything.
Yeah.
If it's a female, they're gonna pair it to it. So definitely adding in genetics like that are definitely going to help not only fertility but just genetics in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Mole just put a question in. What do you think about breeding Black Knight to Tangerine? Needs some knowledge. You don't need no knowledge, Mole. You don't need none from us.
No.
In my opinion, I have done a Black Knight cross to a blood. I mean, the results, it gave me what I wanted. It made a darker tangerine, but to get like, for example, Fran, his stuff, that's just years and years of line breeding. To be honest, I don't have enough knowledge to give you that answer. I don't know about you, Ryan.
I work with tangerine, not so much the Black Knight side, but I have seen some cool things with people using Black Knight and tangerine, cough cough multi. Yeah. Well,
Molt versus Jay, Eco Gecko. But it goes back down to the question with Jay. With we all see, Black Knights are like pretty much the morph everyone really wants, or a majority of people really want to work with it. And one of it does come down to price. But I do see so many crosses labelled as Black Knight. It's like Jay said it perfectly. If you pair a tangerine to a normal and you hatch a normal, do you label that tangerine? No. So if you cross a Black Knight to a normal, let's say, or you hatch, Black Knights can hatch out a normal, do you label that Black Knight? I wouldn't, because it's not showing any Black Knight. So I thought I'd bring that up.
With any cross in general, just like even if it's like a bold stripe to something and it doesn't show that, or like red stripe and it doesn't show any of the features of it, I'm not going to name it as that because it's not showing those features at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's got to be a good example of what it is. I mean, for example, I've crossed a red diamond to a copper. Everything's getting labelled as a red diamond cross copper. And I know some other people would be labelling them as red diamonds because of, red diamond's a fantastic name. Everyone wants to go for the red diamond right now. What's happening, Magic? Thank you, guys, because I've only produced about 29 Black Knight MT this year. Thought can make some more cool with your knowledge. Magic in the house. Does everyone want to see a real photo of Magic? This is going to scare you. I'm only joking, Magic. So we've got another question here. I think we've already answered this. What's your favourite morph to work with and why?
Pastel.
Yeah.
Just because it's really wacky as far as how it looks, and it's not really, worked with in general. And with new stuff coming up, people saying that it might be connected to scaleless. I'm skeptical of that. But I just love the way they look. How their skin is so different. Because you have pastel too, and you've noticed that because we were talking about that.
Yeah, has like patches of like almost.
Yeah.
Because with
pastel, silky.
You see like these little patches of almost like pastelish color, and it's almost.
Yeah, and it's so weird, and the texture of it too when you're like touching the animal is so different. I'll actually grab one real quick.
So back to, but I might as well answer this while Bubba's. Blood cross normal and it's orange. What is that animal? What Malt said, I'd put blood cross wild type sort of thing. But people would probably put 50% blood. Yeah, I would label it as a cross.
Yeah, so this is a super giant female too. She should be laying here soon though too. But she's a super giant Max Snow Pastel Raptor. I don't know if I can get a good.
Oh yeah.
So if you can, that little like lightish pink color.
Yeah.
When you touch that though, it is way different, and then even the camera, of course, doesn't get a good view of it. On a better camera like your professional camera, that's where you can really see it.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to see
I
this
posted
gecko,
that.
Ryan's Instagram, you'll get a better view on it.
Yeah, but the pastel is it's just so it's so weird the way it works. Like with as far as with the eclipse gene
Yeah.
with it, I've noticed that all babies are born with that pied face in between their head,
Yeah.
and then it goes away.
So
And then now she has like
we have another question about Pastel actually, so I might as well answer it on topic. Pastel gene,
yeah.
how does it work? There's little markers like Ryan just said. You see, or like a little void on the head. I almost see it as a color enhancer, almost like high contrast. Almost that's how I see it.
Hmm.
But as much as I love working with them, they're annoying because of you get so many people that are asking you, is it what it is? And there's a lot of trust that comes down to it. Mine originally came from Hans in Germany,
Hmm.
who used to own Thor, the supergiant. So my pastel came in with the supergiants, the direct
Hmm.
sun off of Thor. That's where I got mine from. So I know it's all legitimate. I have tried to
Yeah.
listen to him, but now he's not really in the hobby. You know, a lot of people with the hobby is so busy, and when you do leave, you do still get people that will message. And don't get me wrong, some people would want to answer your questions, but I feel like he's done with it almost. What's
Yeah.
your thoughts with working with it? It is annoying, Gene, because of you do get people that you get some people that's like if they're not hatching with a blue belly, it's not pastel.
Yeah. And it's an issue with that. So I mark everything as pastel if it has that, that texture on it.
Yep.
Because I've noticed all pastel have that and it's super, super easy to, I mean, once you work with it and you can tell the difference between pastel from Max Snow, which a lot of people like to sell Max Snow in high contrast and white and yellow as pastel, they're very different the way they look. Pastel has that pink and it feels weird and you can tell the difference between the skin texture,
Yeah.
and then it is an enhancer for sure. As far as genetically, I say that it's polygenic.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I have a project with it that I can talk about later to see what's kind of going on with it, because I'd like to see why, why does it have those weird patchy, almost scaleless parts? So, and not everything has to be born with a blue belly at all.
Yeah. I have had a
Yeah.
few messages saying, "Did that one hatch with a blue belly?" I'm like, no. From what I
Yeah.
know, I don't think. I think very few of them hatched with the blue belly at the start. At the start, but
And
the blue belly went completely. From what I know, I don't know everything. I'm learning. These lives are what help me. I'm drawing all this knowledge with Ryan
yeah.
like a sponge. I'm drawing all of it in. We got Bubba, we got Mole. Yeah,
The blue belly part, I think that was just a hype. Everyone was like, or Ron was saying the blue belly pastel. Even in his book, he mentions the blue belly pastel as just being an animal with blue belly after figuring out that it wasn't anything to do with pastel. You're gonna get stuff that you hatch with blue bellies because their stomach's transparent, or their skin's transparent when they're first born. Um,
they looked
but it's
really
just
like genetically messed up too with the blue belly. They didn't look healthy at all,
hmm,
in my opinion. They
not
looked
at all.
like
It
they
died.
struggled.
Yeah. The one that he has a picture of it passed away too.
Oh, it passed away. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I am not surprised.
Yeah. Um, And the thing with that, like that's how people will label pastel, or like when they cross pastel, they're just gonna mark everything as pastel, and that's just with everything in the market. That's the same thing that goes with clowns, red
Red
diamonds,
diamonds, yeah.
anything in general. You know how it goes back to that. People will they won't mark it as a cross, they'll just name it as that. But as far as pastel, I won't name it as a cross because I've been able to see the difference now
Yeah.
from what's pastel and what's
When
not.
you're working with something for a good amount of time, you can just when it hatches, you just know. Do you know?
Yep.
Work like with super giants. Was don't get me wrong with super giants, you can hatch a normal from a super giant parent. It won't grow. But now I
Yeah.
see with time, I'm like, you are going to be big. And yeah, with Chloe's geckos, we had the conversation on the live. She's like, I can see straight away when a tang is going to be really tangy. When it comes out with that carrot head glowing at a hatchling, you're going to be beautiful. And also, you do have the opportunity of it not going too well. Another question, and what's our thoughts on the satin mutation? So I've actually spoken. I can't pronounce his name. I think it's like Elko. The satin. I don't know if you've seen it, Ryan. It's a pure scaleless animal. pure scales Leo. So I have spoke to him, and I said to him about coming on a live, and he said to me, right now, I will be 100% up for doing it, but I want to make sure the morph is got no issues first. I want to make sure I work on it enough. I don't want another lemon frost situation. We found this new gene, lemon frost, here, buy. Oh, there's tumours. Oh no, I sold all them leopard geckos for thousands of pounds, and now they've got this issue. So he said, give me another year, let me work on it, and we'll do a live. But I asked him, I was worried about annoyance. You know, when you talk to a breeder and you ask a question, you feel, I hope this doesn't annoy him. I said, is there any issues with shedding? And he was truthful. He said, at the moment, they seem to have issues with their feet. He said, and if you're a breeder like me and you, as soon as you see a stuck bit of shed, get a Q-tip and whatnot. In my opinion, if you're buying a scaleless animal, whether it's a corn snake, ball python, you've got to suspect skin issues.
It's going to have shedding issues, yeah.
100%. But yeah, I will be having him on at some point. I think it might be the next big thing. Can you imagine scaleless pastel? Do you know what I mean?
I'm dreaming, yeah.
You know what I mean? We're seeing the scaleless marks. Can you just or a scaleless tangerine? What's your thoughts on it? I don't know whether you know much about it. I don't know anything about it. I don't think he's disclosed that much information. He probably speaks to Molt all the time. And I know he doesn't want to give out too much information. But what I think it's going to be brilliant. But it is going to have his issues.
It's definitely going to be big if it works out. As far as, I've read about it a little bit, saying that it's recessive. So it would definitely be cool. But there's also going to be some issues, because they're even in with like some scaleless, like rat snakes, some stuff with that, they have issues. I know that there's an issue with an albino rat snake that's scaleless, and they have some weird just weird issues with their face and their facial structures sometimes. So I don't know if that would work the same way with leopard geckos. They're different for sure, but it seems like every scaleless animal has an issue at some point with a cross. Yeah. So it's definitely interesting. It'd be cool if it works out. I wouldn't be opposed to getting it unless it had issues. Yeah.
But I respected him so much for saying, give me another year. Let me work on this morph before I publicly say, look, I've made possibly the next biggest thing. Because of anybody else would have gone crazy with it, mass bred, made a load of heads. But he is truly working on it, and he truly believes I don't want to make this morph and it have issues and send it out to everybody. Give me one more year, work on it, make sure there's no more flaws, more test breeding, and then we'll do a live and we'll talk about it. That, from a breeder's point of view, said a million things to me, and now I'm focusing on his page like a hawk.
Yeah, it's very responsible. I agree with that 100%. Even with like anything new that comes out, I'm skeptical of it because I don't know if it's going to have issues. We don't know if it's going to be the next lemon frost, and that's how everyone's been acting ever since the lemon frost came out. Everyone's been weary. Even when like Pastel came out right after, everyone was like, oh great, it's going to be another lemon frost or enigma issue. Thankfully it's not, because people don't really breed it. So we're lucky that we don't have that issue. But definitely it's kind of a tough topic, I guess, because like people are going to be skeptical no matter what. When something new comes out, but I'm fairly optimistic, and I'd like to see how that goes off. And I think it's really good that he said wait another year. Yeah.
He didn't want to disclose too much information. I did say to him, are you able to sort of tell me how it was made? And he said, complete random mutation from normals. And I was like, thank you very much, sir. See you in a year. So another question. This is quite a big one. Especially with things going on with other breeders and no names mentioned. Mislabeling, why and how has it got this bad? Thank you, Bubba. Thank you for tuning in. It's all humble, man. It's just stay humble. Appreciate everything you do, especially how you are in a community with your shows. You know, very knowledgeable. So appreciate you watching in, and yeah, we'll hit up sometime.
See ya. So, can you repeat that again? That
So,
way I can just.
mislabeling geckos. Why and how has it got this bad? Yeah.
Okay. Well,
There we go.
yeah, yeah. Take off the jacket and all that. Here, pardon me. I'm gonna take this off. It's a little hot in the gecko room.
Yes, look how red I've got. So I'm going to say quickly, the reason why I think mislabeling, I think it's bigger in America than it is here. I think it's down to price, personally, or trying to make something better than what it is. But Ryan can tell you more. This guy lives on Morph Market, so he knows more than me.
Yeah, it's definitely the price for sure. And just people being egotistic, wanting a name for themselves. Yeah, a lot of people like to name stuff that they just want to make the name sound cool. So like another issue that I've seen with people is marking stuff as bold or something like that, adding an extra thing to its name just to make it sell better. And it's really sorry, this it's a really tough topic because I see people that I've taught and they go off following down this path that they were going down the right path, and then they take that left turn and start lying about genetics and start posting about it. I'm like, you don't have that though. And they're like, well, this person said this, and I'm like, you're making up stuff now. So that's the topic of just lying about genetics and adding extra stuff just really aggravates me and gets me really just disappointed in people that they're willing to go to the length to get their name out there so badly. They're so desperate that they're willing to lie about stuff and ruin someone's project. Yeah. That's the way I think of it.
Well, it's just for example, let's say you're working on the project. You've been working on it for 6 years, and it's like, let's say you've got a bold project, and sometimes with a tangerine pairing, you'll get one that will hatch with a bold head stamp. Okay, yeah. You've got a bold head stamp, but you shouldn't label that as a bold. So you might start at someone with a bold project, and that one male who wasn't paired to a bold but just happened to have bold marking, you've ruined that person's 6-year project.
Yeah.
So,
and it's just yeah, I mean, lying about genetics in general has always been there. It doesn't matter what hobby it is, or not even genetics. Everyone, just market in general, people are going to mislabel stuff on purpose. And I just personally stay away from people like that. So even finding people, like when I first got into the hobby, I guess I can share some things. I didn't get the good welcoming that a lot of new people get, and the stuff that we offer now as a community. I was told that I had no room, or there's no purpose for me to come into the hobby because enough people here. And that was by a big breeder, someone who's well known. I've told you who it is.
Yeah.
And hearing that was just, and finding out what that person does, lying about genetics too, and they're one of the main people that have these random hets in their stuff. So that's just like and a lot of people look up to them still. Yeah. So having that mentality and having people looking up to people like that, I think definitely adds, I guess, giving people the reason to say it's okay to lie about genetics.
Yeah.
So it almost, it's a chain reaction, honestly, or it's just like popularity, for example.
I think Magic's a troublemaker. Tell us. The thing is, as well, is sometimes these big breeders have the mindset that, like you just said, we don't have space for you. And me personally, any new breeder, I want to be your cheerleader because, I know it, not to sound in a bad way. You should never burn a bridge because one day you might need to cross it. That person might produce something you really, really need. So there's no. And just give advice. I just don't get it. I know it's me as a person. I just don't get anyone being negative. And especially, I'm assuming that when you spoke to the person, you was young, I guess, really young. Things like that could make, especially nowadays with mental health or anything, that might have been the last conversation that all it took was that person to, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I've been through similar things. I was mislabeled something and hatched loads of stuff I shouldn't have hatched, and no one really. I felt like no one really didn't want to help me, so I had to start again.
Yeah.
And yeah, just we should all help each other.
And that's a thing here that I'd like to talk about real quick. Helping. There's not a lot of people that are gonna help you as far as labeling stuff if you're new. Like people, if you ask them, generally if they're good, they don't mind helping you. It's not a hassle. Sometimes it might be tedious. No matter what, though, I will always help someone asking genetic questions. Because it just doesn't click for sometimes, and it's just random. And like on Morph Market, especially when I see new people on there or just people on Instagram labeling stuff wrong, I will quickly message. I'm like, hey, quickly fix this before you have this person up on your tail, telling you that you're lying about stuff, and they're new. They don't know how to mark a cross. They don't know percentage. So helping people out is something that I think should be expected by everyone that's been doing it for a number of years.
Yeah, it's a hobby. It's be fun.
Yeah, it's a community.
100%. We're all in it together.
Mm-hmm.
We're all sharing the same thing. There's no need for this hate.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes personalities clash and people don't get on. That's just how things are. That's just how life is. But the best thing to do is just move to one side. But there's just no need to be nasty. I get people messaging me all the time. I'm new to breeding. I bought these 2 geckos from a really great breeder. They don't really want to help me with what I've hatched, but could you give me? Absolutely, of course I'll help you. That's how it's fun. It's fun to me. I said this on a few lines, and I've said it to you, Ryan. I breathe, sleep, everything geckos. I dream geckos. I wake up and go, oh, I've made a new morph.
Yeah. Do you ever have those moments where you're just like talking to yourself about like just genetics, and you're just like freaking out?
Honestly,
I have all the.
Me and my friends CNN Reptiles, we always say this. When next season, I'm going to be sitting here like this for hours, going, "Oh, I compare that to what that." Yep. Do you know what I mean? I love it. I love doing what I do. I love doing what I do. So,
yeah.
Favorite line of geckos? Like, what's your favorite line? And what one do you hate the most? What one has the ish? What? Because I know England and America, I know Europe and America are different. When I first got into the hobby, or even not, quite recently, I just think to myself, Americans, they're chill. They're so chill with it. You're like, you don't know a thing. What's your favourite line, and what line do you think you don't like and it's a mess?
My favorite line, probably just bolds. The bolds, just like the jungle bold standard, because there's so much potential with that. Because people really downgrade bolds. They're like, I'm gonna breed a bold to a bold, but there's so many things that you can do with them, and I'll show you one thing that's going to be going into a bold project.
I think I know the gecko.
Yeah, you know who. This guy, he's a wild type. Yeah, and look at he's bold. That's what bold can do.
Crazy.
It's yeah. He's
when I first saw that, snow. It's a snow.
He's not a snow. No, his dad. Yeah, so his dad was a snow. He was a cross from a wild line of macularis bred, and they were just all super white in general. His mom was an F3, so he's a F4, I guess, cross of some sort. I just mark him as a wild line cross.
Yeah.
But he is so cool. He's
a solid gecko. I know it's just a normal. It's a solid gecko. The line
he's big
is
too.
So clean in that. What you can do with that?
Oh yeah. I actually have a project with snow that's going into him, with a friend, and then some bold stuff with him, and then he's actually going to be the main male to outcross Pastel to make a non-het Pastel to see what that looks like. But he has that lavender too, and it's just like if that can hold, and if I can line breed that could be something really really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how like copper works? How they have like those nice lavender bands on their back?
Yeah.
I've got one if you could do something. Yeah.
See, this is why I think copper works really well with stonewash as well. crosses, obviously. But yeah.
Yep, they had those bands. And Stonewash kind of has that too on their back, but their face is all different. And I love Stonewash because they look like that. But with like, there's so much potential and stuff with bands like this, and I don't think people they just look at it as like, oh, that's just a cool normal. No, you can do a lot with the cool normal. I think people put normals almost they almost like disapprove of them almost, or just kind of like they're like, when they see something that comes from normal.
Crazy name. It's because it ain't called red diamond. It ain't called black diamond.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But what that gecko will do, that could start off a serious project, a line. Because the stuff you could do, you could cross it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got something that's been line bred for so long. That when you've been breeding for a long time, little geckos like that, you don't come across them very, very often. So back to also a question for this normal, and it will make sense. So I think you just said that actually. So it says, "What's your plans with the normal?" And you just said the bold and pastel.
Yeah. And then just the snow stuff. That stuff I'm really excited for. I'll post some stuff once it's here. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's definitely it's got me excited for sure. Keeping that high white and lavender tone is what we're reaching for. But making a whole different look is just kind of what I want to use with this guy. He has so much potential, and that's why I like bolds, because there's so much potential that you can go this way or this way.
Yeah.
It's just like a endless thing. You can cross it into albino. You can go into tangerine.
Yeah.
Max snow. It's a branch. For sure.
100%. And it's with you as well. I've noticed you like those clean looking animals, those clean animals. So he's going to work perfect. So we have some giant questions.
Oh, can I answer the one question, the least favorite?
Go on.
I don't want to.
Oh, yeah. Totally forgot. Yeah, please answer that.
I'll do that real quick, and then I can get this crazy guy out. So as far as least favorite line, I'd have to say clown. Just because it's, in my opinion, as far as genetic history and how it, looking at it, how it was made, to me, it just seems like an emerine cross with various tangerines and a red stripe area, and then it's just basically, in my eyes, just a red stripe tangerine het raptor.
Yeah.
Because it originated from raptors too. So having that. Because you could easily recreate something like that. Not easily. That's rude to say. Easily.
Yeah.
But as far as to replicate a look like that, there's ways that you can do it to make it hold the color. Because emerine is just one of those tangerines that are going to fade out.
They look really good up to about 30 grams, and then after 30 grams, they start. Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing why clown just kind of pushes me away, because it has emerine in it. But also just like the lineage, I don't really trust it. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it. They're cool for sure. I love the looks, the bold patterns. I just think that there's ways that you can make it stand out more.
Yeah.
So, and keeping that color, because I feel like they're very they're not very, I guess, specific on what you're going to produce. Like, yeah, you're going to produce like 2 or 3 crazy things out of one female.
Yeah.
But everything else is going to look like a normal tangerine.
Yeah.
So you're going to only have a few. It's not very, yeah, it doesn't target what you want, I feel like, as far as number-wise.
100%. What I've seen as well, you see a lot of people got like these tangerine. There's a tangerine they've been lining for a while, and it's hatched.
Mm-hmm.
You've got one that's hatched with a few bold stripes, a couple of spots, some lavenders, and they're putting clown on it. So yeah, 100%. Also, it'd be really interesting to hear your view on the red diamonds, Ryan. What's your thoughts on them? Do you like them? Do you not like them?
Personally, I don't like them pure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use the word pure, even though I hate that word. That's what everyone's labeling them as. So Even though, yeah, I can't stand. I shouldn't have said pure. That's my least favorite word.
What the hell?
Um,
I can't believe it.
I know. Um, but people will always label as pure red diamond, pure this, pure that. And it's just really annoying.
Don't you
But red diamonds are,
Sorry to cut you off. Don't you think they should be labelling it unknown hets instead of pure? Because I know
yeah.
a lot of people that have got a no het animal and they're going pure.
hmm
Like I've got a
And,
zero het bandit. I'm not going to be going around
mhm.
pure bandit,
Yep.
because
You
there's
just don't know
probably
if there's any
crossing
hets
at
with
some
it.
point. But yeah, take it away,
Yeah.
man.
So red diamond, here, a lot of people like to label it as the pure red diamond line. They don't even mark it as red diamond anymore. It's just pure red diamond. Same thing with clown, pure clown.
Mm.
Um, so if you're going off of that, then you shouldn't have anything with it. But or anything that you don't know that's any het as far as there should be no known hets. But there's some stuff popping out with Eclipse. There's some stuff popping out with other stuff in it. Um, Personally, also seeing what's kind of going around with Red Diamond. Here in the U.S., I've been seeing issues with just how they walk, they wobble, and then they also will stargaze, and then they spin their tail. Um, and it's really weird. I've been
Like
seeing
a white and yellow or enigma almost.
yeah. That's when they're younger, like around a couple months old to 5 months old, they act like that. But even when they're older, they just do the stargazing.
Mm.
Um, I don't keep Red Diamond, but I have friends that do keep it, and they say that they have those issues. Pardon me, someone's asking about the show. um, but yeah, I don't really. It needs to be outcrossed. That's my main thing. It's too inbred
Yeah.
for sure,
I
and I think the fact that it's showing those signs so early on is just saying how long has this
think
been line bred for.
100%.
So,
I haven't come across any of that because I've crossed mine.
which is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've crossed mine, but also I know a lot of things are played with them. Like I was talking to a French breeder, and she
hmm
said that a lot of people are incubating them so high, so they come out popping. Like some of the red diamonds you see, you go, wow, how the hell did they get that, Brian? I think the only person that I know people that have bought off of Barry, and as far as I know, the person producing the bright ones that are okay are from
hmm
Barry and Luca, the guy who started it all. And she
Yep.
also mentioned, like, red diamonds, like my one, they almost have like brown hues, brown. When I first got it, it looked stonewashed when I first got it, and now it's almost got like a
Yeah.
brown hue to it. And she said that's how they should be looking, really. Not
hmm
this bright. And like when you told me about some of the stuff, I was like, Jesus, that just to me reads that needs to be crossed now.
And that's the same thing with incubation. When people incubate super high like that,
Mm,
it's going to cause fertility issues, 100%.
yeah,
So, and I've also been hearing some other stuff like clown having fertility issue now.
yeah,
So it makes me think, same thing with red diamond and some other stuff like high contrast stuff now. So it almost makes me think like, are people purposely trying to make a bright animal now?
yeah.
And they're trying to make it like this? So that's, I've said already that I'm picky about who I buy from and just, all of that. So asking about incubation is one of my main things. Like, are you changing the temperatures to make this animal brighter? And
Yeah.
I disagree with to change temperature.
So do I. I
Um,
think, in my opinion, I think even when you do rise the incubation temperature
mhm.
and they do come out a bit brighter, it don't stay. It goes. So what's the
Yeah.
point? What is the point? It's not apart from getting eggs sooner. I know some people that they'll incubate female and then for the last week or two they'll put it in the male incubator. Just wait. Just wait.
Yeah.
Let it hatch. Let it hatch not naturally because we're not really hatching them naturally, but just let them hatch
hmm
by themselves. Don't try and be like you said. You made the point the other day. Don't try and act God. Just
Yep.
let them do
At
their
that,
thing.
yeah, at that point, I feel like you're playing God almost. Like you're playing like you're almost playing with nature at that point. And I think that's one thing that you have to respect for sure because this is a living animal. This isn't a little science project that you're doing. This isn't like uh, gardening or something, making hybrid plants or anything like that. Even still, that's, nature and stuff. But these are animals.
100%.
They feel pain, they feel everything, I think all animals have emotions as well. Because I've this guy that likes to bite my hand, and he's always happy about that. Um,
You see,
but
like, changes. So if your gecko's not in a great mood, or not
yeah,
necessarily temperature. If I get a gecko out and ain't very happy, or like a bearded dragon, they go dark. You can
yeah,
tell. When I open the tub sometimes, like, it's perfect example of that giant you got today. He's gone. Nah, not today, mate. And you
yeah.
can read his body language, and yeah,
hmm And I think adding to the fact of incubating something so high just to get color out of it, it's almost like I think it's a marketing thing. That's when people are thinking of an object, not an animal at that point.
yeah, 100%. So we've got some questions regarding the giant. So with giants, this is a bit of an unusual question. With giants, what is the better morph to cross it with? So that's a unusual one because of I'd say ideally you want to pair giant to giant to get a big gecko. I have
hmm
crossed giants. You might get lucky, like with clown. If you cross a clown, like what Ryan just said, you might get lucky to get one or even two outstanding. Same with the red diamonds. And most things you cross,
Yeah.
you get a one or two outstanding geckos. The majority of the others are like, you might get three good ones. The majority is like, But
hmm
the main reason to cross things is, with me, is I don't really know what I'm going to pop. And secondly, get that bloodline strengthening. But
Yep.
with what morph, I'd say cross it I've never worked with giant bells. I don't know my thought about them. I know there's one guy in America working with them. I don't know anything about giant bells, but
hmm
with the giants, I say cross it. If you want to cross it, just keep in mind that if you're not crossing it to a giant, you're not going to get big geckos. You might get one or two,
hmm
but I would cross it with a tremper because that's where in my
I,
opinion, that's where all the giants have come from. Trempers are big.
I agree.
Do you agree?
Yeah, Giant came out of Tremper albinos as well. There's the male Bubba from Ron Tremper, who is the founder of albinos and Supergiant, quote unquote. And it's a lot of people say that it's recessive or codom. Um, it's line bred.
Yeah, I
You can
totally agree.
Yeah, you can ask Steve Sykes, who has probably the biggest giant collection.
Yeah,
He breeds biggest to biggest, and that's how you get bigger animals. It's
100%.
line bred.
100%. Totally.
You can and how you were saying, sometimes you'll hatch a normal out of it.
Yeah, totally.
I have, yeah, same thing. You'll get stuff that's not giant size. So you can tell when it's giant because you bred it. And you can see the difference now.
Yeah.
But when it's as far as like the Bell stuff though, I don't really necessarily believe in Bell Supergiant because it came from Tremper. So there's going to be Tremper in it. No matter what.
Exactly my view on it. If there is a super giant, but I'm not saying that the Trempers probably have been crossed out of it over years. But if there is a super giant bell, you've had to have crossed it to a Tremper, surely.
Uh-huh. And that's unless you outcrossed it with like a normal, you still have hets, and then you have 50% het, and then there's like 66%. So there's always I guarantee you there are percentages in the Bell Giants. But I've already Bells in general are bigger than most of the albinos. Bells are bulky. They're chunky.
Yeah. It might just be
why can't you just
he just got a line of big geckos and gone, super.
Just line breed Bell.
Yeah.
Just line breed Bell. You're gonna get stuff that passes over 100 grams because most male Bells are 100 and plus grams. So
yeah, I mean I've got this bell here. I think it's 9 months old, and it's 81 grams. So they stay big.
Yeah, they're huge.
Also, what I want to mention with the giants as well is, as somebody breeds giants, I like Pastels. I find them incredibly annoying because they all grow at different rates. A lot of people think I'm going to get this giant, I'm going to throw food down its neck, and it's going to get 100 grams in no time. There's more to it than that. They all grow differently. I've got one giant here. He's the length of a giant. He's super long, 13 inches. and he's
Mhm.
just thin. He's thin. He hasn't got that super giant size to him. But I can, even though he's a year, give him another year, maybe even 3 years, he will bulk out. They all grow completely different.
Mhm.
Do you agree, Ryan?
This is Yep. So this is actually my male supergiant. His tail fell off when he was shipped couple of years ago.
Oh, you must be
Um,
so annoyed.
yeah. It was from tail necrosis, where a point in their tail gets the blood supply just stops there. So his tail was like kinked when he was shipped because they were like just throwing his box around, and that stopped his blood supply there. So tail amputation was the only thing that you could really do at that point, or his blood would be toxic to him.
Yeah.
So,
Big
and when he
gecko.
had his tail, yeah, he's huge. When he had his tail, he was almost 14 inches. So, it's fine now. Like I'm disappointed that his tail dropped, but I don't really care because he's alive. I'd rather have him be okay. Yeah, and he's a super giant pastel head eclipse. He was actually produced by Ron Tremper uh, when Ron was selling the last group of his pastels too. And this guy's been like all over the U.S. So he was produced by Ron, and then he was sold to Calico Geckos.
Oh yeah.
The original owner, not the new guy. The original owner hated him because he like bit his thumb and like just tore up the guy's thumb, and that's how
You
he
went,
got his
I
name Richard. He got his name Richard by that, being a jerk. So he's not grumpy. He likes me. I'm like the only person he accepts to handle. Um, I think he's debating about biting me. He's giving me the face.
I can see you
I
keep
don't know.
looking at him like.
Yeah.
You know when they're gonna bite. I know it's silly, but their mouth is ever so slightly open.
I don't know if you can see it. You can see his mouth is just a
Yeah.
little bit cracked. Yeah, he's debating.
He's got that eye. He's got that eye. So another question is, what would you feed your super giants? I've just feed them like a normal Leo. I do think in the lines it's like almost like obese gecko. So I know it's not obese, but like something in them
Yeah.
they store
Yeah.
and they grow bigger. So I
Mhm.
think most of my giants normal amount, maybe a little bit more. I know they're suckers for Morio worms, so just be a little bit slow on the Morio worms. But the main thing is don't overfeed your super giant because you're going to mess your gecko up. It's going to grow too big too quick, and I've noticed they almost develop like a rolls on their sides, even when they slim.
Yeah.
And even me and Eco Gecko, we did a live, and he's like, "What is with these super giants in these rolls?" So just take your time with them. They will even through brumation, they're growing. It's like, what are you doing? How? How you've gained 5 grams? You haven't eaten in weeks. What's going on? What's your thought? In the same?
I feed the same, but I mainly feed dubia in general, just because I like the nutrition with those things, and then he can just pound on dubias all day. He keeps me up at night. He'll like bite on his tub, like he's never full. He always wants to eat, and I've noticed that with super giants too. They generally just want to eat.
Yeah. They're like a kid.
But I don't
They'll keep asking for more.
Mm-hmm. I give them the amount that they should to make them not overweight. I make sure that they're healthy. That's what I do. Even if they're wanting more, I don't want them to be fat. I don't want them to die of heart issues or anything like that. Anything liver based, because of their weight. So that's a big factor when you're keeping super giant. You have to be responsible in that case with knowing the amount of food you're giving them, and then they all have the same organs in their stomach, or not in their stomach, and
I'm so glad you said that. And the reason why I say that is I had this conversation with loads of people. I think genetically, I know it's that we'll see, I believe it's lion bred, but I think something in them is unhealthy. I had this conversation with somebody who bought a super giant off of me the other day, and I said that I think it's big geckos, small organs. I see it mostly with males, not so much females, because females don't get as big as the males. But my male in 2019, my main male who started all this for me, just dropped. Just no reason. He was absolutely fine a day before. Opened up the tub, he just dropped. And I do think it's to do with, it's like an overweight person. You've got heart problems and, like you said, liver. I think it's big gecko, normal sized organs, and they do struggle. So just, I always say, take your time with them. Don't throw them with food. Keep them slim, if anything. Keep them slim.
Yeah. Super giants though too. As far as like what I've noticed, they're just hard to reproduce sometimes too. Females are picky when they don't want to pair, even when they're up to their age, the 2-year mark, and they don't want to breed. It's like they take seasons off. Like they want to pair and then not pair the next season, pair and then not pair.
We're like the same person. I want this female, man. I've had her for 4 seasons. She had a good season, a bad season, a good season, a bad season. This season's bad. I think I got 1 egg.
Same for me. Yep, it's my bad season.
You play me 10 eggs, I'll get her out now. It's now you saying this stuff, man. It's just it ain't for speed. Sometimes you feel like, oh, is this just my opinion? But yeah, no, she's in shed.
Yeah, she's really nice. She's long.
Yeah, she's good. Thing is, though, like I said in my other live, right now, I think I've got her, I think she's 110. She's too big right now. I need to get her down to 90. She's too big right now. Yep. But yeah, look, what you said is, man, you got me excited because we've got the exact same views on some things. Yeah. So, last question. This goes to both of us. Where do we both see the future of supergiants? Like with us and other breeders. Me, I want to get that 200-gram animal. I know after everything we've been saying about organs and stuff, I want to get a healthy 200-gram animal. And also, because I think it was 2 seasons ago, I'd done a few crosses, like supergiants to a non-supergiant. I want to get that colour in because of, you're lucky, Ryan, you've got a lovely pastel one. You know, when you look at a supergiant or you go on morph market and type supergiant, they're predominantly just your standard Tremper, maybe Mac Tremper. There's not so much colour there. And that's what my aim is, really bring that colour. And while I let you talk your views on that, I'm going to show my supergiant baby, my favourite one of the season, the pastel one.
I agree with making a healthy supergiant too. I think that's one thing that we need to strive for, is just not only personally but as a community. People that have supergiants need to make sure that their animals are healthy and not fat. And then just overall, I agree with the color. They're very dull. Ooh, I like that. That's a nice one. And you can see the pastel on its head, all pastel. Yep.
Exactly. The clutch mate is really nice. Not as big as, I called this one Kong. 15th of June it hatched, and it's 30 grams. Crazy. This one's a bit smaller, but again, you can see it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Keep going.
I'm the same way. Yeah. I'm the same way with how you were saying, just making a big healthy animal. It doesn't even have to be like pushing 200 or anything like that. As long as it's healthy, that's the main thing that I want for a healthy animal. And color would be nice, but health is the main thing, and just production of them too. I'd like to figure out why females act like that with the supergiant. So getting that down would be nice.
Definitely. Well, I think we'll leave it here today, Ryan. Thank you for coming on, man. It's really good. These lives are really good for people to put a face to a name as well. And I know you're super nervous. You don't really like showing your face. And a lot of us, we're the exact same. And when I first started this, I was nervous, worried. But thank you so much for coming on. And please, when are you going to keep bringing more Gecko Talk podcasts? Because I'm addicted, man.
I have one that I'm recording tomorrow, and then we'll have to hook up a time where I can get you on too.
That would be awesome,
Um,
and I'd love that.
we
It
should
must be
have
you, me interviewing you. You're normally doing the interviewing.
um we got to get Malte on. That's the thing that I've been trying to
Oh,
get him on for a year, man. I'm gonna get him. We'll just have to keep bugging him.
we'll have to bug him and get him on a trio for sure.
Yeah.
But the thing is with Molt is when mate, that guy he's an outstanding breeder. Really, he comes across scary to a lot of people.
Really?
So yeah, so I know so many people that have messaged him and be like, "Oh, this," and he's so knowledgeable and he wants to do the best that sometimes when the advice he gives
It's
people, like,
intimidating.
yeah, they take it a little bit like, oh, I won't ask him that again because he's asked me what's the unknown hex, or I won't get. He's a great
Yep.
guy, and I think that would be awesome if we can get a trio, or yeah, we'll do something, or even if you get him on Gecko Talk, I'm a cheerleader. I'll be gassed. But
Yeah,
anyway,
he's
do you want to tell people where to find you? And we'll,
sure. The Reco Reptiles on Instagram, and then on YouTube it's just the Gecko Talk Podcast. And then we'll be doing a show in Spokane, Washington, on the 11th of September. So if anyone wants to pop by, I don't know the likelihood of that happening with everyone watching, but I'll have some cool stuff there. So yeah.
definitely. Well, we'll leave it here, guys. This will be going down onto YouTube. As Ryan said, Reptiles on Instagram, the Gecko Talk podcast on YouTube. This will be going onto YouTube, and yeah, we'll keep sending the love. Stay humble, and I appreciate you coming on, Ryan.
It was awesome. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
See you later,
All right.
everybody.
See ya.